Aberdeen are on the road as they face an important trip to Fir Park to take on Motherwell, who have lost their last 3 games. Kick-off at Fir Park is at 3 o'clock UK time. Here are today's other fixtures. The early kick-off sees Hearts take on Celtic, Kilmarnock take on Ross County, Rangers are at home to Livingston, and St Mirren take on Dundee United. So let's have a quick look how that affects the top of the table. And with St Johnstone upsetting Hibs yesterday, we now have an opportunity with a win today to go third. It just puts more incentive on us to do well. Hi everybody, a very good morning. How are you? How the devil are you? Hope all is well. So today we have a little bit of a nostalgic feel to the preview show. I'm going to be speaking to a chap called Peter Elliott, who is a volunteer at the AFC Heritage Trust, and he is also the editor of a new Aberdeen Football Club sort of historical magazine type of feel. It's called Black and Gold. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't had a look to read through the magazine, it's absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to be speaking to Peter a little bit later on about the magazine. Also, as you all know, I love my history, and something rather special happened on this day back in 1989. We won, at the third attempt, the Skol Cup. We had suffered back-to-back defeats against Rangers in what were two unbelievably they were brilliant finals. As a football fan, they were absolutely sensational, but they were devastating, the manner that we lost both games. So today, if you are watching, please feel free to get in touch and tell me about your own experiences and memories of going to Hampden that day, because it was absolutely fantastic, and I have a very special guest coming up later who will be reliving that day. So it's well worth hanging about. So, Motherwell today. First of all, let's predict the team news. This is just a prediction. So I've got a feeling he's only going to make one change from the Partick Thistle game. I think Matty Kennedy will drop out, and I think Connor Barron will start today. But I think he'll go with the other players that he selected to start against Partick Thistle. So let me know what you think about that team news. Okay, here's my other thoughts about today. So, obviously we are very Jekyll and Hyde. We know that. So, let's try and put that to bed today. Let's try and nip this in the bud, a really awful away form. I think we should not make them look good today, because we did that at Pittodrie. We were guilty of it. We have to tighten up at set pieces. I don't know how many times I say it, but we have to do that. We also have to start the game brightly. We started so badly against Dundee United, which I think set the tone for our performance that day. So we have to start brightly. And please, can we let Kevin Van Veen know that he is in a game today? Make it uncomfortable from the opening whistle. That's my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. Here's the thoughts of the manager. This is what he had to say in his pre-match press conference. So our last game on the road against Dundee United was extremely poor. We're all still hurting a little bit from that, I have to say. The players, myself, and the staff feel as if we owe the travelling support a good, positive reaction, because there's not been many teams that have been supported on the road as well as what we have this season. We owe it to them tomorrow, as in today, to put on a performance. Here are your match stats ahead of the game. So the Dons have only won 1 of their last 5 league visits to Fir Park. The Dons have only picked up 1 win in their last 15 away league games, drawing 5 and losing 9. Our last victory came at St Johnstone back in August. Motherwell are unbeaten in 4 league meetings against us, and the man in the middle is Ewan Anderson. And don't forget, VAR will be introduced in today's game. So, let's introduce our first guest. As I said at the top of the show, Black and Gold is a new magazine. It's been on the shelves for a couple of years now. It comes out quarterly and it gives a fantastic insight into the football club's history. The editor of that magazine is a very fine chap called Peter Elliott, and I was very fortunate to have spent some time with him yesterday to chat about the whole process of putting the magazine together. If you haven't seen it, here is what it looks like. There it is. Trust me, it really is a brilliant read. Let me introduce to you editor Peter Elliott. Hi Peter, it's lovely to meet you at long last. Thank you so much for becoming a guest on Ali Beg AB TV. I'd like to ask you, first of all, about the magazine, which I love, and I know it's been received very, very well, but where did the idea originate from?
Well, thanks very much for having me on, Ali. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me. So it's something that really I've thought about for quite some time. We launched it in November 2020. And at the time, of course, we were in the middle of lockdown. Nobody could get to live games. The only real content of football that, anybody could take part in was, looking at nostalgia, what had happened in the past, online chat about the current games and so on. No one was getting to live matches. So as an exile, it was perfect for me because I could take part in it and not be left out from those who go to games week in, week out. Clubs were really up in their game about sharing old videos. Red TV was more open than it had been before. They were sharing a lot of old content. And nostalgia, I think, had played a big part in what was going on with fan content at the time. And I'd been in touch with Chris Gavin at the Heritage Trust for a wee while before then. And I got in touch with them and wondered if they would be interested in putting out a magazine of some sort to connect with fans. And as it happened, he'd had the same kind of idea. So he sent me some content over, a couple of draft articles. I put them together in, a bit of a draft pages and sent them over. And he says, yeah, just go for it. So we launched in November 2020 with the idea of a quarterly. And we had to try and work out how to sell it to fans because obviously there was no physical outlet. And we managed to get a soft launch going and we've taken it from there.
So who decides on the content?
Well, to be honest, the Trust have given me free rein in that, really. There's a lot of articles in there that are serials, so we know what's coming from one issue to the next. I'll have a few ideas of what interests me. I know you can pick up ideas from what's being discussed on social media. There's loads of things that the Trust have in the back catalogue: photographs, artifacts, videos. So they purchased the Sports Projects collection.
Yeah, okay.
So Sports Projects published the match programme throughout the 1980s. And their photographers took a load of photographs over that 10 years. And the Trust bought that collection. And they're in the middle of digitising all of that and cataloguing it. And so there's a lot of stories that are going to come out from that, I would imagine. And thankfully, the Trust have been great in sending any information over that we can get into the magazine.
Honestly, I'm so envious because it must be like an Aladdin's cave of Aberdeen Football Club memorabilia. It must be so much fun looking through all this stuff, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's really Chris Gavin and the guys at the Trust that have the access to that. Thankfully they're allowed into storage now at the stadium, and they'll send me photographs on and with images to show from the collection, and it's up to me just to get that in place and hopefully show it off as best I can.
From an editorial point of view, I've always been interested to know the process of how you put the magazine together and what you decide what actually goes into it. Say you find a story and then you find something else which is maybe just of as much interest. How do you editorially decide what goes into the magazine?
Well, so I know the schedule because it comes out 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Uh, Thinking about the latest issue at the moment. So the latest one is for November, and that just arrived with me yesterday. So that'll be in the post for the weekend. Next month is 50 years since the badge design was launched.
Of course.
So that's really quite timely. Managed to get in touch with someone who'd published an interview with the designer, Donald Addison.
Oh, wow.
And so we have that in the magazine. And so hopefully I can try and get some topical things into there. Apart from that, the guys at the Trust will send me information on. We'll include things such as paying respects to players that have died recently. So we've got Heavenly Dancers section within there as well. So there's always something that I know that's going to come in. There's times when you can be overloaded with submissions. So I've got quite a few, that are hanging back for the next one in February. And then obviously the big one is May next year. That's going to be 40 years from Gothenburg. So I'm hoping that we can have a Gothenburg flavoured issue then.
Fantastic. And just to finish off, how can fans get the magazine?
So the magazine, you can get it online. And also we've had some great help from the club. I've got to say that. Mal Panton at AFC has been really good with helping with photographs from the club. And also Jason Hill at the club shop. Jason's a great guy who always supports the Trust, and magazines will be in the club shop as well. The last couple of issues have been late, so I've not managed to get them to the shop, but this one will be. So you can get some in the shop. They're going to be limited, but they're also available online at firstdonsmatch.bigcartel.com.
Fantastic. Peter, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure getting you on, and it's fascinating to hear the story of the magazine, which I absolutely love because, as everybody knows on the channel, I'm a big fan of the football club history and nostalgia. So thank you for taking the time to come on, and hopefully we will get to meet very soon.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me on, Alex.
Absolute pleasure. Bye-bye. My thanks to Peter for taking the time to talk to me. If you are watching for the very first time, hi, how are you? I really hope you're enjoying the show. And if you would like to jump on board and join our community here, come and subscribe. We are very much closing in on 1,700 subscribers. Right, let's get your comments in. Thank you for watching. It's really good to see you this morning. The Scottish Wildman has said, come on the Dons. Cal MacD says, hello from everybody at Lewis and Harris Dons. Good morning to you all. Scottish Susie, hello, how are you? She is sitting on the bus at Pittodrie, ready to leave to go down to the game. I hope we turn up today and the bus is a happier place on the way home than it was coming back from Dundee. Come on, you Reds. To all of you who are travelling down to Fir Park today, please have a good and safe trip. Alan McIntyre has come on. Hi, Alan, how are you? Motherwell have terrible home form this season, but of course our recent record against them is terrible as well. Just feel last Sunday was a turning point. He is predicting a 3-1 win for us. Good morning to David Gold. Stick with 3 at the back, and interesting to see how VAR goes. Kevin Turner has come on. Hi Kevin, good morning to you. Hoping for a strong performance from the Dandies today. Keep it tight at the back and we'll be just fine. Excuse me. Right, keep your comments coming in. Okay, let's get to our guest, our second guest. But before we do that, let's take a little trip down memory lane. So, on this day in the football club's history, back in 1955, Aberdeen win the Scottish League Cup for the first time. The Dons beat St Mirren 2-0 in the final at Hampden, and 15,000 fans crammed in to Aberdeen Station to greet the boys home. There's some magnificent pictures if you get a chance to look at them. On this day back in 1980, described at the time as Aberdeen's biggest ever game at Pittodrie, the Dons welcomed English champions Liverpool to the northeast for a European Cup second round first leg encounter. Liverpool won the game 1-0 thanks to a goal from Terry McDermott. And that was the night that Ray Kennedy absolutely smashed John McMaster and sadly put John out for a whole year. And on this day, back in 1989, Aberdeen win the Skull Cup after beating Rangers 2-1 at Hampden. It also proved to be Willie Miller's last major final as club captain, and it was the last time he ever lifted a trophy for Aberdeen. So, I would like you to reminisce about that day. Get your comments in, tell me if you were there, and just give me a short story of your memories of that day. So to our second guest. I was really delighted to have caught up with goal-scoring hero Paul Mason from his home in Southport yesterday to relive that game and that day. It was really good fun. Here's Paul Mason. Hi Paul, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for jumping on today. It's a bit of a special day today for you. Let's go right back just before the game kicked off. Can you recall the build-up to the game at Hampden?
I can, yes, vaguely, but one thing that sticks out in particular was there's a show on them days called Satan Greavesy.
Yeah.
And I used to be friends with Ian St. John's son. And for some reason, they chose me to sort of highlight before the game. Obviously, because I was doing okay for Aberdeen. But I remember being down by the beach and doing a little show in my car and getting interviewed by, I think it was Martin Tyler, actually, yeah. So I felt like a bit of pressure because they analysing me before the game, you know. So, but it was nice story.
Let's talk about the actual game itself. Talk me through your opening goal.
Yes, there's a free kick. I think Jim Bessett, the free kick hit the wall, came out to Bobby Connett, who hit a long cross, or a high cross, should say. Seems to be in the air for quite a long time. And the ball was coming towards me. And I remember the keeper coming out and sort of hesitating. Me thinking in that split second, the keeper, if he would have come out, he would have got the ball. He would have got the ball and me as well, which keepers do these days, you know, or in them days. But he just sort of, he just stood halfway and sort of backtracked. And I knew he wouldn't get back to the goal if I got my head on the ball. I remember jumping with Stuart Munro and thinking, all I've got to do is head this ball and that'll be a goal, you know. So I was never going to lose the sort of duel with Munro. And I got my head to it and it went in. Yes, it was quite good.
It was 1-1 at half-time. Obviously, they got a very dubious penalty. So how was the mood in the dressing room at half-time?
I think it was still positive. We obviously before the game, we fancied our chances. We 1-0 up, and they got, obviously, as you say, dubious penalty. And we've always, every time we've been down to Glasgow, they say you've got to beat the crowd, you've got to beat the referee as well as the team, the opposing team. So that was no shock to us getting a dubious penalty against us. Well, it was a shock, but it wasn't nice. But we still confident in the second half before the second half started, thinking, we're just as good as them. We can go and do this.
Into extra time, and then obviously you score the winning goal. It was just, for those of us that were there, it was just an unbelievable moment. And for so many thousands watching on television at home as well, it was just a glorious moment. Can you still recall it vividly in your mind?
Yeah, you can. It's one of the best moments of my life, you know, the two goals especially. But everything goes sort of like in slow motion. Obviously, for the 10 seconds after you score the goal, it's all a bit of a blur. Your teammates are congratulating you, what have you. And then it's all settles down and you realise you've got another 15, 18 minutes to go, obviously to win the cup, but you just concentrate on the game then. But it was a bit of a blur, to be honest with you.
Sort of towards the end of the game, as the clock is ticking down, did you ever feel sort of dead on your feet, or were you just hoping that you were just going to get through it?
I think the adrenaline drives you through. You must have been tired. I think I was tired a few times. I remember Jockey Scott shouting a few times for me to get further up the park because you get tired and you get a bit lazy. But yeah, you're just hoping that you're going to get to the final whistle and it's going to be the right result.
Can you try and explain? I know it's a long time ago. I appreciate that, but can you try and explain the emotions felt when the full-time whistle blew and you knew you'd won the cup?
It's a very proud moment. But you think it's not about, it's about the old club, it's about the management, and Jockey and Drew and what have you, and the crowd especially. You know, they've been there cheese before and didn't have a good day out. It's just the old part of it, and you're really happy for the management as well, because you know they've been through a lot. They've put faith in you. The crowd coming down again, you know, the third time they've been down there in 3 years, and this time is their turn to celebrate. You just feel an enormous sense of pride that you've you know, give people a great day out. The management's are all proud, the club's all proud. It's a good day for everybody.
Paul, thank you so much for jumping on today and sharing your memories of what was a fantastic day. It's great to see you, and hopefully we'll see each other again very soon.
Cheers, Ali. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Paul Mason. So just before he actually left, and before we finished off, Paul and I, he quickly jumped back on because he wanted to show you something. Watch this.
And there's a shirt I've still got from the '89 Cup final, hanging proudly on my wall. It's been hanging up for 23 years now, so it's a great memory, and it's a good little souvenir I've got.
Brilliant, superb. Hey, how cool is that? The fact that he's got his shirt from the final framed up on his wall. Absolutely love it. Let's get some more of your thoughts in. Rob Clark. Hi, Rob. How are you? I was at Hampden for the Skull Cup final against Rangers. My main memory of the match was celebrating the winner. It was superb after being in the previous 2 cup final defeats against Rangers. Jason Campbell has said he's not changed much, has he? Paul Mason, no, he hasn't. He's such a good lad, and he really wasn't feeling very well yesterday, so I really appreciated him jumping on. Cal MacDia said 1989 Skull Cup. How we won that game, I don't know. Made it all the sweeter beating Rangers against the run of play. I travelled down from Newborough with a group of older friends in a minibus. And the day was absolutely magnificent. And the things that really stick in my memory are obviously the opening goal, the ridiculous penalty that was awarded to them, and then this Theo Schnelder's save from, I think it was Trevor Stephen was the first one from the edge of the box, and then Ali McCoist's header, which he tipped over the bar. And then obviously the reaction after we scored what proved to be our winning goal. You know, it was the terrace, wasn't it, at the back of the goal. It was totally open to the elements. Oh, what a day that was. And the trip back was just absolutely magnificent. I think we sang all the way home from Glasgow to Newborough that day. It really was a magnificent game. I've still got my my ticket and the ticket stub and the programme from that game. It was just superb. Right, let's get some more comments in. Derek Griffiths has come on. Hi, Derek. How are you? Hopefully we get back to winning ways against Motherwell, who has always been a bit of a bogey team. 2 good results against Hearts and Partick. Third, 3 in a row, please. Derek Griffiths, there's only one Paul Mason. Remember it well. I was at Hampden that day. Erica Mitchell has come on and said, good morning, everybody. Hope we beat Motherwell today, don't we all? That's us for just now. So, a little reminder that coming up a little bit later today, if you're not able to get to the game and you're out and about, I'm on the big Saturday football show on North Sound 1 between 2 and 6 p.m. with Stephen Mill, Ewan Cameron and Stevie Cowan. And the way that it works is that I sit here in my studio and I watch the game live, and then I report live into the studio if anything happens during the game. So we have instant updates. So if you want to tune in, if you're at a loose end, then please feel free to listen to us on North Sound 1. And what I love about the show is, for me, it's the perfect combination of music, banter, laughter, and football. That's what we do. So if you haven't listened to the show before, tune in. Trust me, it's really, really good fun. And obviously all the live updates from Pittodrie as well. Right, guys, we are all done. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really hope you've enjoyed today's show. All that's left to say is the very best of luck to the Dons today. Let's get this monkey off our back in terms of our away league performance, and let's get up to 3rd place. What an incentive that is. I will see you again tomorrow night at 9 o'clock for the review show. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.